and welcome to this week's edition of the Friday Flickr Photo Critique. This week we have something a little bit different. This week's photo set comes from a guy, Josh Rud, who decided to become a supercross photographer. And he traveled to a bunch of different events, and he really kind of got his skills down, and it can't be easy. You're in a stadium. You've got these very, very, very fast-moving vehicles. You've got uneven terrain. You've got a lot of things that could potentially make it challenging to capture this kind of action. I would imagine, any type of sports photography, it's really about those decisive moments. So let's start with this very first one. Blake Wharton, I'm going to guess, is the guy who's on the bike over here. This is just one of those kind of awesome shots where, where you've got the dude on the bike, he's really well lit. The bike is in midair. You see chunks of dirt splattering all over the place. You've got the crowd in the background. It's just a good action shot. It's a little bit skewed to the left. That could be the stadium. I might have justified it a little bit, but other than that, nice and solid. This is great. I mean, this is just one of those shots that could be like, a magazine shot. You've got great focus on the backs of all these guys. You've got that kind of starting line kind of thing going on where they're all kind of pushing off with their feet. You got the dirt kicking up, really, really solid, really thick, really well done. I just kind of want to see what we're shooting with. I'm sure it's a 70 to 200, but let's just see in the EXIF info what we got here. So this is 70 millimeters at 2.8, 640 ISO, and a 500th of a second. So really, really nicely done. And with a 7D, that's all you need. So it's 70 millimeters, with the cropping factor. We're probably, at like 90 or so, somewhere in that range. Anyway, very, very cool stuff. So let's keep moving on over here. Excuse me. Cool detail shot. This one, unless you were telling me that this was shot specifically for the Yoshi Mura brand or whatever, I don't really necessarily want to see this in your set. I don't feel that this really lends itself to the action, unless, again, if this was a sponsor shot where they said, okay, you know what, we want a shot of our carbon fiber pipe, and we need to have that, for whatever reason, that's great. But as far as how it relates to the action stuff, I don't really see that so much. This is a cool shot. It's just one of those behind the scenes. You got one of the racers doing a text over there, maybe sitting next to his wife or his girlfriend or somebody like that. Just kind of one of those behind the scenes back moments. Nice framing, nice thick black and white. Awesome action shot. Again, we've got the action completely frozen. We got the dirt kicking up, just these huge chunks being spewed all over the place. Just really solid action sports shot. Again, very cool. Kyle Regal, I would have maybe brightened this one up a little bit. Look, you're shooting into a into light over here, so it gets a little bit muddy. Not a lot you can do about that. The other thing is that the angle is skewing down toward the left, and if you're looking at the frame over here of the building, you can see it's dipping down to the left. I'm not such a fan of that. I would have tried to justify this, although I'm sure that if you did, you might have really cropped it a little bit close to the head over there. So not a lot you can do over here, but that's kind of what I would have wanted to see out of that image. Okay, Darren Durham, I'm guessing he's a racer. Yeah, it's okay. He's looking so far off from the camera. I would have liked to see a little bit more of his face. I think it's a little bit too far off. But look, it's shot well, it's processed well, whatever. It's a nice thick black and white. But I would have liked to have hung around and maybe taken a few more shots to get maybe a little bit more of his straight on look. Opening ceremonies, very cool. Again, the camera seems to be dipping to the left, and look, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. It's just a human thing. Sometimes you stand there and you maybe stand and you favor one foot, whatever. I'm guilty of it. It's not necessarily something right or wrong. It's just that, again, I'm not a fan of the whole dipping to the left. I'd rather see this more straight on and justified. Monster Girls, yeah, nothing. Doesn't do anything for me. I'm sorry. She's not making any contact with the camera. This is just kind of a bunch of mush. We've got another head over here. Whatever. It's just, I think that if you want to shoot the Monster Girls, those girls are there. They're hired as models. You should interact with those girls and say, hey, let me get a shot of you guys, and let them do their thing. Let them ham it up. But just kind of grabbing a candid of the Monster Girl, yeah, it doesn't really do anything for me. Okay, of course, Blake Wharton's first win. Very cool. You got the full lineup on the step and repeat. Yeah, I mean, hopefully you would have taken a few more shots. It would have been nice to get one with him kind of looking at the camera, but, whatever. I mean, it's a fine shot. It kind of does what it needs to do. But not really much more to say about that. And that's it. So, Josh, look, thanks for sharing your set. I think that the action shots are my favorites of yours. I would say that that's definitely, my top shot. I'd say that's probably number 2. I really like that shot a lot, and I think you got some good stuff in here. And I think that if you can put together a really cohesive portfolio book, and maybe mix it up, maybe have your action shots, a few behind the scenes shots, and just maybe a few portraits. And honestly, what I'd love to see, and I've seen this before, is maybe you can talk to some of these the riders, some of the actual motocross guys, and see if you can get some portraits with those guys, and just say, look, man, I'm a motocross or supercross enthusiast. I shoot a lot of the different races. Maybe do a portrait series where you get these guys after the race where they're all covered in mud and they pull off their goggles and they got the dirt on their face. I don't know. I mean, look, having that kind of access, it's not necessarily that easy. I mean, I know that these guys have a lot of handlers, so I'm not suggesting that any of this would be easy. But if this is something you're really passionate about, maybe make it a project, make it your own, and take it to another level. Because you're right, there's a lot of people out there with a long lens and a decent camera that can capture action shots. So what is it about your work that's going to differentiate you, that's going to make a sponsor, somebody like that, hire you? And I think that that's potentially what needs to happen now that you kind of, this is your passion, this, you love this. Maybe it's about kicking it to that next level and figuring out a way to make your work, that much more compelling to somebody who'd want to hire you. So, Josh, I wish you good luck. I thank you again for submitting your set with me. I wish you only the best and encourage you to keep at it and figure out a way to make it your own. Obviously, this is only my opinion about all of this stuff. The critique is only my opinion about your images. If any of you guys out there would like to submit your images, please email a photo set of your 10 best. Hopefully a cohesive set to adamlernerphoto@gmail.com. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. That's it for now, and we'll see you soon.